Hello and welcome to another Magic 2015 gameplay. Today we're taking a look at the Goblin deck. It's using the premium boosters, so if you don't have those you unfortunately won't be able to play with all the cards. But the reason to play this deck is Quest for the Goblin Lord. If you get this card early, then you just have to play a couple of goblins and you'll usually win the game from there. It's not always that easy, so let's take a look at some other cards. We have Goblin Arsonist, not the best 1-drop, but he usually gets in for a couple of damage early because people don't want to trade with him, and then later on he still deals 1 damage when he dies, so not the worst goblin. Foundry Street Denizen is the one you want to have out early, because he gets better the more creatures you play afterwards. Then Goblin Bushwhacker is a nice sort of mini finisher. He will not always get the job done and kill the opponent, but if you have a couple of goblins out, the damage adds up pretty quickly, so try not to play him as a 1-1 for 1, but always try and use him with Kicker. Then Shock, another quick and easy removal spell, can also go to the face. Then we have a 2-drop in Goblin Shortcutter. A 2-1 for 2 is not great, but he is a goblin, and his effect is not irrelevant in this type of aggro deck especially. Kranko's Command puts a bunch of goblins into play, which is basically all you want to do in this deck. Will trigger your quest twice, and also combos very well with Goblin Rebel Master, which if he goes unanswered will usually kill the opponent. Then we also have a mini Anthem effect in Raid Bombardment. Makes most of your goblins deal 1 damage when they attack, and also has some goblins in the picture, so that's another reason to play it. Seismic Strike is the reason to be mono red. This is a very efficient removal spell if you only have mountains, which we do, so that's also another nice addition from the premium cards. Darksteel Axe, I'm just running one of them. It's nice to have one piece of equipment out if you have a bunch of small goblins and no way to get damage through, so I kinda like one Darksteel Axe in that spot. And then Hall of Triumph, naming red, will give all your creatures +1/+1, and at 3 mana that's pretty efficient. So together with 22 mountains, this will round out the deck. It's very consistent because we have a lot of 4-ofs, and it's pretty deadly. Alright, let's take a look at our opener. 3 lands is a bit much, but I can't really mulligan this hand. We have turn 1 Foundry Street into turn 2 Kranko's Command. Of course, Elvish Pioneer is a bit of a pain here, because he will be able to block our Foundry Street. And he will also accelerate the opponent. So here we have a Shock. I think we still play the Foundry Street first. So if our opponent does attack, we get to go in for 3 damage thanks to Kranko's Command. If our opponent does not, then we can still see and change our play. Our opponent at 3 mana plays Elixir of Immortality, which is a bit of a weird inclusion in a red and green deck, but the 5 life could certainly matter. And no attacks. Okay, we drew another Kranko's Command. So what's the plan here? We could play Shock and Darksteel Axe this turn, and then next turn probably still play Kranko's Command. Or we could just go Kranko's Command, attack, trade, and then next turn have Shock and Kranko's Command. I think I want to keep the Shock for a bigger creature. So I think I will go for Kranko's Command attack and offer the trade. We could also not offer the trade, which is certainly a reasonable play. That means next turn we get to go Kranko's Shock if he doesn't add any creatures to the board. I actually don't hate that. Yeah, I'll go with that. We kind of also want to save our goblins in case we draw a Rebel Master. Cultivate, there we go. So that's good for us, because that means we won't see any additional creatures. Our opponent could still have a shock represented with the mountain, but I guess we'll have to live with that. And Seismic Strike is good, but not right now. So let's play our mountain, and I think we just go Krenko's Command Shock. We now have removal for bigger creatures in Seismic Strike, and if our opponent doesn't have an answer for our Foundry Street, then this is gonna hurt a lot. And yeah, let's hope for the best. And looks like there's no shock. Opponent down to 20. And next turn, this Raid Bombardment is gonna do a lot of work. Garruk's Pack Leader, not bad. If we draw a mountain, I think I'll kill it. Interesting. Goblin Bushwhacker probably changes our play here, because that allows us to get in for more damage than with the Raid Bombardments. And it also means we have a creature next turn that can trigger the Raid Bombardment, so I think I'll go with the Bushwhacker here. Obviously kicked. And we can also follow up with a Darksteel Axe. Opponent is probably gonna block our Foundry Street, but that's still fine. We could have not attacked with it, but we just want to get as much damage through as possible, and this is 10 damage now. And next turn it's gonna be at least 5, and then probably a few more. So if the opponent doesn't have a way to gain life, I think we can win. If he plays a Palaka Worm or something, then the game is still pretty undecided. 6 mana, this does not gain life, so I'm gonna call it and say we have a pretty good shot at winning. Yep, he can't attack. We drew a 4th mountain. Equipping costs 2, so we can only make 1 play this turn, and I think that's gonna be play Raid Bombardment. Get in for 3 more damage, put the opponent at 2 life, and then should be pretty good. Yeah, the other plays don't seem as great. We could Seismic Strike 1 creature, but then we only get in for 3 damage or 4 damage. Alright. And then next turn, let's say we draw another land, we can still equip one of our creatures and Seismic Strike the biggest creature our opponent has, and force some good trades. But if he still has a Palaka Worm or maybe a Nylea's Disciple. Alright, so he's gonna destroy the enchantment, I guess. Not bad. And he has 1 card left in hand. And it's gonna be a Ground Assault to take out a Goblin token. Okay. So if at any point we draw a shock, our opponent would be dead. And if we draw any relevant spell pretty much. Alright, Goblin Arsonist is not gonna win us the game right now, but is gonna get pretty close. So we could Seismic Strike the Pack Leader, attack with both, force a trade, and then we have the Arsonist back. Our opponent can't attack or else he dies, so I think we'll do that. And their opponent will not get the value of Pack Leader plus recurring the Phyto Titan. Alright. So, unless he has a way to gain life, yet again, he should be dead to the Arsonist, and there we go. Is he going to attack for the win? I can respect that. Alright. And that's gonna do it. I wanna thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.